What's going on, everybody? My name is Philip Dancy, founder of Dancy With Money, and welcome to another edition of the Play Money video series. Today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Dresden Davis, who is the founder of the Curlie Cook, and we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is food. So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. If you could just start by giving us a brief background about yourself, like, career, where you're from, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I am originally from North Carolina, but I grew up half my life in Maryland. So I kind of say I'm from both. I think my food definitely shows that I'm from both, from that kind of southern cooking, but also the seafood part of Maryland. I work in corporate banking at a bank. So if you think about retail banking as, working with people, corporate, I'm working with corporations, institutions, just helping them with their financial needs.
Most definitely. So I guess for those who may not know, can you just give us a little bit of background about what Curlie Cook is? Like, how did you start getting into cooking?
So Curlie Cook is my blog. I started cooking probably in middle school. It kind of always, I feel like everyone kind of starts with that. Your mom's like, can you take the chicken out? And then it kind of went from that to, my dad was working late and my mom's education. So, school would get out, but she still had to stay. So it was like, oh, can you start dinner? And it kind of just came from there. I would spend my summers in North Carolina at my grandmother's house, watching her in the kitchen, and she did everything from scratch. Okay. So I just really enjoyed watching people cook. Obviously, everyone loves eating. And so it just kind of went from there. When we got to college, moved off campus, didn't have a meal plan, so I was like, okay, gotta figure it out. So I was always cooking for myself, cooking for my friends. And then after college, got out on my own and just kind of started cooking more. We're in that age of social media where everyone is sharing and posting what they do, and I was really just cooking. So I just kind of started sharing it more, and people would ask me for recipes or what was I making, what was I doing. So eventually my friends like, you should make a blog. So in January 2018 I decided to create the Curlie Cook.
Oh, that sounds awesome. And going back to where you say you were cooking for your friends and your family, what was like that go-to meal? Because growing up, I actually thought I wanted to be a chef because I thought I could cook like a mean scrambled eggs and some bacon. But hey, what was like your go-to meal?
So my go-to meal isn't extravagant. It's actually turkey chili. So growing up, my mom, we actually used beef growing up. Okay. It wasn't until, where everyone's a little more health conscious, I moved to ground turkey. But I loved my mom's chili growing up. Chili and cornbread was my thing. And so when I finally moved off campus, the first thing I asked my mom how to make was her chili. And so I kind of took it from there and put my own spin on it. But that was kind of my go-to. I love spaghetti, so we would do spaghetti. I love, making fish. So those are kind of like my staple things that we would make.
Oh, it definitely works. And then, so we have to bring in a little bit of finance. So I was wondering, you meal prep, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess, could you talk about like what meal prepping is and just some of the benefits that you've seen since you've been meal prepping?
Yeah, so meal prepping is just prepping your meals in advance. So the number one thing it does is save time. Obviously cooking at home is always going to save you money because buying groceries, you can buy a lot more than if you were to buy an individual meal out.
Exactly.
So usually on Sundays, I'll meal prep my lunch and dinner. Breakfast I kind of do as I go each day. But it saves a lot of time. It saves money because a lot of times I'll buy things in bulk, and buying in bulk is always going to be cheaper than buying things individually. So I started noticing I was saving money, saving a lot of time because I'm not cooking every night. When I get home from work, I can do other things when I get home. And then always cooking at home, especially if you're eating healthier, starting to lose weight, starting to be healthier. So those are some of the things that I found from meal prepping. So I still do it. Sometimes I'll meal prep for half the week. A lot of people complain about eating the same thing every day. So sometimes I'll meal prep for 2 or 3 days and then in the middle of the week, do it for the rest of the week.
Okay. And sticking to the topic of like eating the same thing every single day, I noticed you had an experience with HelloFresh. So I actually just wanted to like check in with you to see like, what was your experience with HelloFresh? Do you feel like those meal prep kits that are, coming up in, I guess, the industry are they worth it? Did you like it?
So I had a good experience. The meals I picked were good.
Okay.
What I would say is I had a coupon. So Groupon has coupons all the time for those meal subscription services. And so the original price for 3 meals that would feed, each meal feeds 2 people, cost $60. When you do that math, that's 6 meals for $60, that's $10 a meal.
Okay.
In my opinion, that's the same as grabbing Chipotle.
Ah.
So it's not really cheaper in that sense, but if you have a coupon, it's great because I paid $20 for 6 meals, and you know, you do that math, super cheap. As far as it goes, as I'm super into eating healthy right now, some of the meals weren't necessarily healthy. They have the calorie conscious meals, but one of them was like a rice dish. And you know, when I'm thinking of being healthy, I'm thinking about calories, but I'm also thinking about carbs, protein, and all of that. And eating a lot of rice doesn't really help.
Okay.
I think it's great if you genuinely don't like grocery shopping because you get everything you need. But you know, for me, as someone who likes to cook as much as I do, I felt constricted to those 3 meals since it came and I had to cook it before it went bad.
No, I totally agree. Like, I've had an experience with HelloFresh because, like, so Kendra typically like cooks for the household, but I remember she ordered it, and it definitely like freed up a lot of time for her. So like, I definitely agree in the part like it can free up time during your weekly meal prepping.
Right.
And one thing that you mentioned was in regards to like the $10 per meal. So I was wondering, could you like walk us through like some affordable tips for cooking at home? Because you know, you want to get below that $10 per person, because it's like, I think if it's at that price point, you might as well eat out. So what would be some affordable tips?
So I would say, 1, think about serving sizes. So the HelloFresh, it said there are 2 meals. For like the serving they give you should be 2 meals. In reality, depending what the dish is, it could be 3 or 4. Like a rice dish, you know, maybe you aren't eating as much of the rice, you can get 3 or 4 meals. But the chicken dish, they literally gave you 2 pieces of chicken. So one thing that I like to do is think about serving sizes. So on average, 1 pound of meat is supposed to feed 4 people.
Okay.
So last week I went to the grocery store. I knew I wanted to make salmon this week. I was looking for 2 pounds of salmon because I knew that would be about 8 servings. I found it on sale, $7.99 a pound. So $7.99 a pound, $16 for 2 pounds, 8 servings, that's $2 for a piece of salmon. And my thing is, you buy in bulk, you buy when it's on sale, and then you cut it up into serving sizes and then freeze what you're not using immediately, because fish, salmon, all of that freezes fine, chicken, pork, whatever, and then you put it in individual baggies, you just pull it out as you need it. So that's one big thing that has really helped keep costs down. My favorite thing to do, which is kind of corny, is your local grocery stores have their circulars online.
Okay.
So I knew I wanted salmon. I was looking at different circulars to see who had it on sale. I ended up getting it at Costco because, you know, buying bulk, it's a little cheaper. But there are times when my local grocery store will have it on sale, or they'll have other things on sale. Thinking about, you know, I like to eat healthy, so fruit, if it's not in season, it can be really expensive. Strawberries aren't in season right now and they're extremely expensive. My local store, one store had them for $5 for a pound. Looking online, another store had them for $3.
Okay.
So I can kind of figure out, you know, where to go, what I want based off that. And I guess the biggest thing, which I think helps me the most, is writing down your groceries before going to the store. You know, I always say eat before you go to the grocery store, because then, you know, you start to wonder, you start to think about, oh, what do I want to eat right now?
Okay.
And I'm still guilty of that to this day. But I would say those are the things that have helped me the most keep costs down. My grocery budget is not huge, and people always ask me, how do I keep it down? But you just really have to be smart about it.
So for those who don't know, you do have a cookbook. So could you just talk a little bit about your cookbook and like what are your favorite recipes in it?
Yeah, so back in November, I released my first cookbook. It's called the Curlie Cookbook. It's 50 plus recipes to feed your soul. So I have a mix of healthy recipes, I have seasoning and spice mixes, I have some salad dressings. I also have an indulge section, which is my favorite, There's a cinnamon rolls recipe, homemade cinnamon rolls. I was inspired by I Love Cinnabon, and it's like $4 for one. So it's so much cheaper to make on your own. That was my first time working with yeast, creating that recipe, which I actually created it over a year ago, and I kept it to myself and kept trying it and making sure it was perfect before sharing it. So I would have to say that's my favorite recipe.
Okay, and then where can we get the cookbook?
So it's on my website, thecurliecook.com/shop.
Okay, and there you guys have it. We have the latest edition of the Play Money video series. Definitely check out thecurliecook.com. You know, get your recipe book, and also make sure to follow Dresden on Instagram. And where can they follow you?
My Instagram handle is Drezzy, DREZZYYYY.
There you have it, guys.